Hi everybody, Sanibonani, welcome to my channel. Listen, you guys, today we finally do the Real Housewives of Johannesburg, the full review, episode 1 of season 3. Finally, the long-awaited season is here. I think Real Housewives of Johannesburg, we did not get a season for like 2 years because they did have an issue where cast members got into a fight. So they had to rethink the whole thing and recast. And also there was a time where there were rumors that the producer, Usonia Mpele, had actually lost the franchise. I believe that she got it back, and now we're continuing with the show. There's only two people that we know from the previous season on this season of Real Housewives of Johannesburg, and that is Ulebu Mkwena, who was Mrs. Gunguluza, who does not actually want to be called Mrs. Gunguluza anymore. I hate it when a woman shoves down the fact that they are married, shoves it down our throats, because that's what Ulebu did, honestly, for seasons of Real Housewives of Johannesburg. It was like, I'm Mrs. Gunguluza, Mr. Gunguluza this, Mrs. Gunguluza that. And then when the person gets a divorce, now, they are over their husband, but we are not over your husband. We are not over the fact that you are Mrs. Gunguluza. Now, every time somebody says, Mrs. Gunguluza, I'm not Mrs. Gunguluza. Listen, I'm Miss Mkwena, I'm not Mrs. Lalela phela nathi, give us time to get over your husband, just like you took some time to get over your husband. So she's one of those. Every time somebody mentions Gunguluza, it's a problem. Girl, linda kancane nathi ke sibe used to the fact that awusashadile. Anyway, you guys, am I surprised that Ulebo is divorced? I was surprised initially when the news came out, because one of the things that these women are able to do when they do Real Housewives, they're very good at pretending that their marriages are perfect while they're doing the show. So a lot of the times when they're doing the show, they are not real about the issues that they're having in their marriage. So every time that somebody gets divorced from Real Housewives, a lot of the time it's a surprise, because a lot of them are not real on the show. They basically just lie to us and say that their marriages are perfect. My husband is perfect. You remember when they were doing the massages and whatever with her husband, it looked like they had no issues. But, when the season ended, the next thing they were getting a divorce. Okay, so every time we watch these marriages on Real Housewives, we have to think about the fact that we're not really watching what's really going on with these marriages. Sometimes they're just pretending for us. So yes, Lebu is back, you guys. She does mention something about witchcraft in her marriage, and that in association with her mother-in-law. I was like, is this woman on TV accusing her mother-in-law of witchcrafting her, and that's the reason that her marriage didn't work? But she said something like that, you guys. And she also did accuse her husband of being emotionally, physically, and financially abusive, because she said that in her marriage she went through emotional, physical, and financial abuse. And I mean, there were two of them in their marriage. If she went through that in that marriage, so it must have been her husband. So she made big accusations, you guys, when it comes to her marriage ending. The abuse allegation is really big. It's unfortunate that that happened. And also the witchcraft allegation. I found it to be very unnecessary, you guys, for her to do that. I feel like when your marriage has ended and you have been able to maintain sort of like a respectful relationship with your in-laws, we don't need to know that, you guys. We really didn't need. I think that the information about how her husband was like in their marriage, yes, it's nice to know that, because obviously she was hiding that from us while she was in that marriage. But I really didn't feel like it was necessary for her to be accusing her mother-in-law of that on the show. Okay, but yeah, people will do anything to make their storylines interesting, you guys. Another cast member is Ulithabo Joy. She is back, you guys, and she's back with a new body. She did a BBL, I think, and the lipo. It looked that way, you guys. I might be wrong, but obviously she did confirm that she has a new body. And yes, you guys, listen, she looks great, okay, but lezi ngqalezi abazenzayo, you guys, ezinye zazo mina zivele zingabukeki natural, and uLithabo, it's one of those, izinqe zakhe doesn't look natural, guys. Ngathi babeke iy'tina nje there behind her, zinhle, but it's like azibukeki natural. That's my point, okay? Ningasho ukuthi nginomona ngoba people will say that when we talk about this thing, it doesn't look natural. So I always wonder ukuthi umuntu yena mayeyibuka, do they feel like it looks natural, or the point of vele is not for the for the bad to look natural vele. That's not the purpose. I'm just wondering, you guys. But yes, you guys, unezinqe ezintsha, uLithabo, a new body, and she looks like she lost weight as well, you guys. And I think that's another thing that for me it made it look unnatural, because she's very skinny now, unanemicondho, now izinqe thaqa la phezulu, so it looks like ngathi nje stick sweet. Guys, don't come for me. I'm just saying, I'm being real, you guys. That's how it looked. But anyway, you guys, yes. So uLithabo, remember uLithabo and uLithabo no Lebu, they did not get along the last season that they did together. And what had happened is that uLithabo kanye no Lebu had come on the show as friends. But what uLebu said was that uLithabo befriended uLebu because she knew Lebu was doing the show. So she befriended uLebu so that she could get on the show. But once she was on the show, she changed on her. And so they had a lot of conflicts. The last reunion, you guys, they were swearing at each other. They were telling each other secrets. Olitabo even said that the wedding label, there were suppliers that were still not paid, and that the cake was fake, and all of that, you guys. So it ended with them not being friends. And I feel like from what is happening this season, it looks like they did not work on that friendship. They just left it like that, and until this season. Okay, so now they are meeting up to try and talk about their friendship, you guys. I would have loved for that conversation to have gone different. I think that it was very immature the way that they communicated in that meeting, because, guys, a lot of things happened between the two of them. They said a lot of things about each other, about each other's marriages, about each other's relationships. Because remember, Ulitabo at the time was seeing somebody, and but uLokhuzana, uLebu had said that she was lying about the person that she was seeing. I think also the relationship didn't exist because we never saw the person. Nobody in Real Housewives had ever met the guy, but it was a guy that was supposed to be living overseas or something like that. So she had also lied about having a partner to get on Real Housewives, which I believe Ulebu had revealed that it wasn't, that relationship did not exist. And so I would have loved that sit down to be more like, listen, this is what happened. I was hurt by the fact that you revealed this and this, you said this and this and this about me. And these are the reasons that I came back with this and this about you. And have some apologies there. And then I'll be like, are we moving forward? I think that because they did not do that, I don't believe that it is really them moving forward right now. I don't believe that they're going to move forward because they did not take any accountability for anything. I think they're just happy that they're the two that were selected to come back to the show. But I don't feel like they're going to be friends. If they are friends, I feel like they're going to be fake friends. Because even in the diary session, they are still shading each other, even about the meeting that they were having. I got the feeling that Ulebu is feeling like Ulithabo is trying to be her, especially with Ulithabo doing her body. Because, of course, last season, everybody was talking about Lithabo's, not Lithabo, Libo's body. And, she has the natural part, okay? The one that everybody wants, but it's natural, okay? So, at some point, she even says that Ulithabo, when she was passing her, she felt like it was her passing herself. I don't know what's in land, but that made me feel like she is thinking that the reason that Ulithabo did the work that she did on her body was to look like her. You guys, do I agree with that? Oh God, like I would think that it would be ridiculous for you to go through so much. Number one, I mean, when you do something like that on your body, you are risking your life. It changes your body forever, because even if you go and reverse it, your body is never gonna be the same. And also, it will be immature for you to make that decision based on the fact that you want to look like somebody else. I would think that if somebody does such a big change on their body, it's because of how they feel. They feel like it's gonna make them feel better about themselves and boost their self-confidence. And maybe as well, they feel like they will get better jobs if they look a certain way in the entertainment space. But I wouldn't think that she would do it to look like a label. But maybe we will find out different. Maybe label knows something that we don't know. I will find it to be ridiculous if she did that, mainly based on the fact that she wanted to look like Ulebo. Anyway, you guys, so that was my disappointment about that meeting, that they didn't communicate in a matured way. It was more like, who blocked who? I don't have any issues with you. I don't feel anything about you. And that was just it. It's just, it bored me. It was like a waste of time, basically. I wish that the directors had directed them to say, listen, guys, please, can you just have a real conversation about what happened in the previous season? They could have got a really good scene from that sit down, but it was just a waste of a sit down. Honestly, I was disappointed by it. And then, you guys, we got to know now the new housewives. There is Nicole. Nicole, I think she said something like she was raised in Natal and then in Cape Town, and also lives in Johannesburg. Has a Scottish Zulu husband and a closer German, Scottish Zulu from the father's side, and they are closer German from the mother's side. And then came her. When you look at her, you will just assume she's colored, okay? And yes, you guys, she has a son, and she is separated, and the son is 2 years old. Listen, you guys, at some point, honestly, this is the real housewives of Johannesburg, but at some point I was like, is this the real divorced housewives of Johannesburg? Because like the introduction of each and every housewife would be, I am married, I have this person, and then at the end of the introduction, they talk about the fact that they're going through a divorce. you know. So yes, you guys, it looks like everybody is going through something when it comes to the relationship. She's separated from her husband, and she was just having a conversation with her mom. The interesting thing about the conversation that she had with her mom is that at some point her mom was trying to find out what are the issues between her and her husband. Okay, I still don't know what the issues are, because she just ended up saying that, guys, I just couldn't stay in that marriage. I couldn't begazela in that marriage. And I think even the mom is trying to understand exactly what is happening with the two of them. She says she did not feel respected, but she did not want to begazela there. So the mom says, listen, I've spoken to your husband, and this is what he says. It feels like, honestly, her husband is very close to her mom. And so, obviously, a parent usually has a hard time when there is a breakup between the children, when a parent has gotten used to the son-in-law or the daughter-in-law. And I feel like this is a situation here. I feel like her mom is having a hard time accepting that she is getting a divorce now, and her mom, actually, I feel like she outed her, because she says one of the things that he has said about you is the fact that you are very abusive. She said it in Zulu. She said your husband says uNicole ma is very uNicole ma uyashayana, aggressive, uyashayana. And I was shocked by that. I was shocked by the fact that her mom said that in front of the cameras, But more than that, I was shocked by her response, because her response was the typical abuser response. She says, Mom, yeah, I do that, but you have to think about the reasons why I do that. Why do I do that? Why do I hit him? Something like that. And I was like, hi, Bo Nicole. Does she even understand how serious it is that she's here on national TV admitting to being physically abusive to her husband? And also, I would have just loved to hear her say, listen, yes, I've done that. And I've done it in these kinds of situations. This is not something that I'm proud of that I did. And I wish that I never did it. But she came out and said, you know what? Yes, I do it, but can you just think about why I do it? Because usually I have a reason to do that. That's a typical abuser response. The abuser will always say that it is your fault that they are abusing you. Basically, that's what she's saying. She's saying that it is her husband's fault that she is abusive to him, you guys. The next housewife, so as much as I like Nicole, I want clarity on that, you guys. I want clarity on that before I move to the next housewife. I would like to get clarity on that. What do you mean, sis? Like it was his fault that you were abusing him. So obviously, from that you can see that okay, now you can sort of get the picture of how the marriage was like between the two of them. Because of that admission, you guys. And I wonder, you guys, if we were going to ever be exposed to that, had she been, if she was still with her husband and doing the show, okay? Now we move on to Kia Beitwe or Ukia, you guys. Listen, Ukia and I has 3 kids, married for 4 years. She's in the pharmacy business, but also she's separated from her husband. Like I said, you guys, this is the divorced housewives of Johannesburg, okay? Or the separated housewives of Johannesburg. Nobody's with her husband except for, is it Mamos? Because everybody's going through something. So she says that the last anniversary that they celebrated with her husband asked for a divorce. Listen, you guys, of course, like when you go through a divorce, a lot of the times it's because of something that one person has done. But if you want to be real and take accountability for what has gone wrong in your relationship, there's always something that you can take accountability for too. And I feel like with her. She's not clarifying what is the reason for a divorce. Why would her husband just suddenly ask for a divorce? Did he cheat? I wasn't clear on that, you guys. And she just says that she was pregnant. She did not expect that she was going to be asked for a divorce. And then the next thing, he just did. And it's been really really hard on her, okay. Here's the thing, you guys. Of course they're no longer with their husbands, her and Nicole, and also Ulebu. I understand that, but I kind of feel like from all of them I want a little bit more into why the marriages are ending. I would like to hear more. I think that sometimes when it comes to Real Housewives, they fail to share real life experiences with us because they are trying to put a ribbon on something and on their lives basically, and they rush to show us the glitz and the glamour and the events and all of that, when some of us would relate to real life experiences. So I do feel like even though all of them are talking about these relationships that they're getting out of, but none of them are really talking about real issues as to what happened with these marriages. And also, none of them are really taking accountability for the stuff that also maybe they did or didn't do right in their marriages. So, uh, I feel like all of the husbands are wrong in the separations, but nobody's talking about really what went on when it came to them. Okay. So yes, there was Ukiya, and then the next one is the Nigerian sister. I think they say it's Mamos. That's how we pronounce her name. She was born in Nigeria, lives in South Africa, and this is the one that is still happily married. Okay, has two kids. We did see even her husband, you guys, good looking husband. She is an HR manager at a church. Honestly, you guys, I was like, I'm wondering, is she really an HR manager at that church, or she just had to find something to say that she does it, you know? Because she was going to work, she was even late at work, and she got there, and also she didn't do anything that really convinced me, Uguti, you know what? She really is working here. you know, I feel like it's possible that she just called and say, "Listen, you guys, I have to pretend that I have a job here. Can I do it at this church?" But anyway, you guys, apparently she is the HR manager of this church, but the church leaders, whom they call mom and dad, are not in the country. I don't know if they've run, because apparently there are issues that they are dealing with as far as the church is concerned. There are scandals. I was looking at those pictures thinking that I was going to recognize the faces. Maybe it's the church that we've seen on TV or something like that. I don't know them, but some of you might know them. So there is that issue. Umamus is a YouTuber too, and but she's not very serious about her YouTubing. That's what she said, and her husband is trying to push her to do it. They also do have a podcast, her and her husband. I actually haven't checked their stuff out here on YouTube. And then after that, we get Utobegile Mdletshe. She lives in Centurion with her husband and four kids. And listen, you guys, one thing about Tobegile is she wants you to understand that she is rich, okay? And that's the thing, you guys. I think with her, I guess that's her understanding of the show is about rich women. But I feel like sometimes you don't, if you are rich, you don't have to convince us you are rich. I feel like she was spending a lot of time in the introduction trying to convince us that she is rich, that she has a lot of shoes, that she wears expensive clothes. And I was looking at those shoes that she was showing us, and I was like, sis, like we've seen really good closets when it comes to Real Housewives. We've seen some closets, okay? We've seen some housewives that have double story closets just for shoes, okay? And then there's another part where there's just bags, and then there's clothes on the other. So if you're going to come here talking about how many shoes you have on Real Housewives, you better be showing us the real collection of shoes. I didn't feel anything I don't know, you guys, anything glamorous with those shoes. I just feel like, hey, nami ezami icathulo mangayiqoqa nje zingavele zibe ngakayana kodwa iy'cathulo zami ey'shibhile ezinye ezigugile, you know. Hers might be more expensive than mine, but it just wasn't looking like a Real Housewives shoe collection, you know, even the way that it was put there. And I was like, and the reason that I looked so much into that is because she was talking about it so much, you know. So yes, you guys, I think Utopia is she's going to have that issue where at some point, if we find out that she's not as rich as she says, it's going to be an issue that we are going to talk about a lot on the show, and people are not going to understand why we talk about it, but it's going to be because of the way that she introduced herself. She wants you to understand, I am rich, I shop a lot, I have a lot of shoes, I wear only brands. You know, you had to understand that about her. And so obviously that is going to be our expectation. If we see that her outfit is not really giving, that is going to be the thing for us. If we feel like I guess she's wearing shoes that she was wearing last week, it's going to be a thing for us. And that's why when you introduce yourself on Real Housewives, it's important that you give it a thought on what you want to say, because siyabambelela on whatever it is that you say at the beginning of the show, okay? Anyway, Nicole was going to have a showcase because I think she has started a flower business. So she was calling people, wanting to invite everybody to the event, to her event, okay? Nicole, yes, okay. Now, you guys, there was quite a few husbands in on Real House on Real Housewives of Johannesburg in this episode. There is Leon. I believe that Leon is Nicole's friend, but there was another guy. I didn't get his name, and then I think there was a third guy. Listen, you guys, I like it when there is a gay guy on Real Housewives, but introduction yakhe almost feels incidental. Like this is a person. Like when Sorisha had a friend. Sorisha had a husband on season 1 and season 2, but he was not doing too much. He was not doing too much. It did not feel like he is fighting to be a real housewives like Ruan did. He would just appear here and there. He would be at Sorisha's house, and then he would go to with Sorisha to a few events when what's his name, Vivian, couldn't make the event. I like that. But now these gay guys now like really fight to be on the show, which for me is really boring, you guys. I don't want to lie. I just want to get the women. And it's not in any way that I feel a certain way about gay guys, but I just feel like I don't want them to be fighting so much to be part of the Real Housewives. And it feels like that with Leon. Like he is fighting to be part of the show, and he is saying some things that he wants, like the intention is to be controversial. I think he was asking Ukiya Ugutu what happened to her tooth. I mean, if you see somebody's tooth is not there, it's the back one, almost like mine. I actually have one tooth that I recently took out, and he was asking, what happened to your tooth? And she's like, I took it out. What had happened to it? Why did you have to take it out in front of everyone? Why would you do that? It's like he was looking for something controversial to say, okay? And of course, the event did come, and they were all there looking beautiful and all of that. And even in that event, Leon was trying to be controversial because he was asking Oli Joy if she can swim, which is something that had nothing to do with anything. That was like a flower, whatever event. How did it have anything to do with the fact that Oli Joy possibly cannot swim? And I feel like he was trying to be controversial in saying that black ladies cannot swim, and he was hoping that they're going to be offended by him saying that. A lot of the ladies are not liking him. They're saying we are papa, we are papa. I feel the same, you guys. I just feel like the show is not about him, but he keeps wanting to say these controversial things, you guys. So yeah, I don't think that I'm gonna like him for the show. Maybe if they want a gay guy to be there, they must focus on the other guy. I think the other guy is Mamus's friend. So yes, you guys, and yes, we did have like a lunch between Mamos and Kia because they're trying to build a friendship. I like that the ladies are not pretending that they are best friends outside of the show. All of them look and sound like they're just meeting each other for the show. So yeah, we're going to see what happens, you guys, as we move forward. Listen, it was a good episode. I just feel like for the first episode, they didn't do a very good job at showing us the glitz and glamour in terms of like their houses. Like when the franchise begins, like when the season begins, usually you see their houses, how beautiful the houses are, and the cars outside, the closets, all of that. They didn't show us any of that. Even if the women don't talk about it, but the introduction of each and every one of the women would be like that. They would show us the house, show us the cars outside, show us the closets, and then you sort of get the idea, okay, where you put the housewives in terms of how rich she is, okay. Also, another thing was Lebu's house, because they did go into Lebu's house. Lebu, at first, she was sitting with her brother, just having a conversation about her marriage not working. And she's in this place, and it looks like it's a new place. Like, those places that are set up for, like when a house is on sale and they want it to look as attractive as it should, so that when the buyers are coming to check the house out, they just want to buy the house. It looks like that, you guys. It looks like it's on display for something, and I was like, Leo, do you really live there? She did say that it's new, you guys. But here's the thing: I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the season we find out to go to that place. Ulebu just got that place so that she could shoot the show, and after that she's done. It just looked like everything just looked too much like perfectly in place. Like, do kids even play here? Because Lebu has kids. Do kids even play in this house? Do you even have people in this? Do you even sit in that couch? Because even the couch, it's the first time she sits there. I don't know if anybody noticed that, you guys, but it looked too new. Unless, of course, she just acquired the place, and that was the first thing that she showed. It was the first time that she's in that house. But yes, you guys, I do suspect that she might have got that place just so that she could shoot the show, which wouldn't be unheard of when it comes to a Real Housewives show, because sometimes they do that. Remember, we came for Lassie so much when she did that. And she wouldn't shoot at her real house. Anyway, you guys, that was a show for today. It did not blow me away. I don't want to lie. It did not blow me away, but I did watch it and I was like, okay, I'm okay. I'm going to continue watching the show. The previews as well didn't give me any feeling of, I can't wait for next week. It did not give me that feeling. It just, I was like, okay, I'll see the show next week. And they showed the previews. I was like, okay, that's all you have. Remember, you guys, we're coming from Real Housewives of Durban, so it's like we are judging them. Okay, we're judging them, but we'll give them a chance. We'll see what happens. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like it before Pumegona, share it with your friends, with your family, and even with strangers. Ntando kakhulu.